Hey guys, what's up? We are back, and we have missed exactly two hands. One was in the blind, I folded, and now this hand that is currently going on. This guy this is the second time in a row he's raised pre-flop, and he is now 4 I squeeze with ace-10 suited. This guy's a light opener, and he has now 4-bet me. And he has seen, maybe he saw my video, he's followed my guidelines, making a very small 4-bet. And I'm going to shove on him, actually. You know, we don't have a lot of history. We've seen this guy. He seems to be a decent player. He's very nice and aggressive. On the shove. You know, I think that I have just squeezed I've made a very big raise. A very big raise for a squeeze. It's a perfect squeeze situation. And I just think he was playing back at me. So I just shoved ace-10, and he folded. I just really didn't think that, you know, I just really didn't see, he's now raising for the 3rd time in a row. He's just been so aggressive. And it was just such a perfect spot for a squeeze. You know, I was in a small blind, button calls, he opened. He knows that I had seen him open a few times very recently. And I think it just looked so obvious. And I can't call. So I either have to fold or shove in that situation. And I just didn't think that. I just thought he was playing back at my squeeze. So I just shoved over him. And the cool thing, ace-10 suited, not a hand I'm like thrilled. Like any hand he calls my shove with, I'm going to be behind. However, ace-10 suited isn't like, it's not a total disaster either. Mainly because it's suited. Like, the suitedness helps it like another 5 or 6% equity versus the offsuit, and that's obviously significant. So, you know, it's going to be in like decent shape against this calling range. I'm going to be behind, but I just think with the fold equity I had in taking down what was a sizable pot, I think that was probably the right play. It's easy to say now, you know, but I like that play. I would do it again. But that is something to keep in mind when you are 4-betting. Keep in mind, you know, like if you're playing back against a squeezer, it's always important to think about what level your opponent is on. And I can look at this guy's stats and kind of just know that he's a good enough player that he knows about this. He knows what a squeeze is. He knows that squeezes are common. He knows that squeeze. You know, he knows everything about squeezes. So he thinks he can throw in a little min 4-bet, and that was actually a really small 4-bet. And I really think that if he had a hand, he probably would have 4-bet me a little bit more than that. Just because that was like barely over a min. And the reason it was because I made my 3-bet so big, and I kind of took the problem because I made a really big 3-bet. So I think that kind of took away the fact that, you know, if he wanted to 4-bet bluff me, he had to make it. It couldn't be much more than that. Otherwise, he was going to be committed, and I think he realized that. That's why I made it 120. But like, if I had only raised to 44, you know, he could have made it 110, for example, and been a lot closer to not committing himself. However, he didn't have a whole lot of choice there. If he wanted to bluff me, he had to do it that size. And I just think he would have made it more like 140 or 50 with a real hand. All of this is mostly just my estimation, just because I have not played with this guy before, and you know, I haven't seen him do a whole lot. So I'm just kind of estimating what I think his thought process was. Okay, so I just called here. A lot of times I 3-bet this guy, but you know, Sam's all. I mean, I just don't think that even though this guy's a fish, I don't know. I'll go back and forth. I'm really not thrilled about playing it. The problem is if he calls my 3-bet, I really don't think I'm going to be in great shape against this guy's calling range. You know, he's open on the button for a min raise, so I don't think he's particularly strong. But if he calls me, then he's going to be a lot stronger than Queen Jack, is my guess there. And that's just not a situation. I think I can call, and think I can just play the hand for more money. I think I can play this hand more profitably, even out of position against this guy. Um, but okay, so we're just gonna open up. I don't have stats on this guy yet, but considering he has only $240 and he has not reloaded, I don't think he's the best player at the table by any means, and that's evident by the fact that he just limped and folded. So we have two guys at this table, 06 Deluxe and this individual, who like to limp and fold. So that's obviously a good reason to keep raising. Okay, now here I'm just going to call. This isn't a hand I really like to 3-bet just because, it kind of kills your implied odds. The value of this hand in position is going to come from hitting a set and showing down the best one, the best hand post flop when I can. Okay, I'm gonna bet here just because I don't really want to give a free card on this board, and I think he's playing pretty straight up. I think this is a pretty ugly board for a lot of his hands, and I think that it's a board he's just going to give up on. So if I think he's just going to give up, there's really no reason for me to check back and give him a free card. If my hand was a little bit stronger, maybe like Queen Jack or Jack 10 even, then, although it's almost the same hand, but if it was a little bit stronger, like maybe I had a draw or something, then I could check it back and try to get him to start firing at me. But there's no real reason to do anything other than bet there. So he just raised and 4-bet, so he had a hand. I find that extremely interesting. This guy, draw for fee. I hate that name. I hate saying it even. So he raised, called, and then this guy squeezed an under the gun raiser. Again, that is exactly why I don't advocate. It's why I would almost probably never squeeze it in that situation. I think that's just ridiculous. This guy, yeah, he's a 25-18, so he's a lag. Fine, whatever. Nonetheless, he is under the gun. He's not a unthinking player by any means. So, I don't know why you would try to squeeze him off total air there. Why wouldn't you? I don't know why you would try to squeeze him with air there. I just don't. It's not a play I would make. I think you have to give some credit to his range. Maybe these guys are battling and they have some history. I don't know, but this guy is just a chronic raiser. This guy actually, let's see how many tables he's playing. Whoops. Okay, he is playing this many tables. 8 plus a document. He's playing a free roll. Sorry. He's playing a free roll for Rake the Rake, so he's on his rake. He's clearly getting rake back. He's a grinder. And he didn't want to pass up his free roll value, so he's got that as table 9. Okay. I don't know why I think that's funny. I just do. Sorry. Okay. Again, another guy playing 8 tables. So those are the I like to pick on those guys. They often just don't have the time to think through the decision in the proper manner. I'm gonna raise this up, and I'm gonna make this just a little bit bigger, just because I'm raising this for fold equity. So I might as well try to make sure that I get the folds I want. And I do. If I make that, 16 or 18 or whatever, I think just making it 20 straight makes it look just a little bit stronger. Okay, so this guy is squeezing again. Okay, had this guy not called, I would have 4-bet him. However, I think this would have been an easy 4-bet, actually. I would have made it, well, he did make it to 60. I would have probably done something here. Maybe call. I don't know. I would have done something, but not with a cold caller. Like, this is usually 10s and better and ace king, like, all the time. Maybe ace queen suited. And it's usually a guy who doesn't know whether or not smooth calling or 4-betting looks stronger, and or it's a hand like Jack Jack where he doesn't want to 4-bet it, but he's not going to fold it either. So it's usually something like that. Okay, so now maybe this guy has something, considering he's leading into 2 people on this board. Yeah, he's just put half his stack in there. He's not folding. I wonder what this guy has. That he just called with a set, maybe? Oh my god, and he did fold. That's okay. I think this guy. I'm gonna go ahead and call this guy a tag player that has some things to work on, because that is just. I really hate that play. Like, you're squeezing and you get called by one. You cold called by the big blind. So okay, if you give him any sort of reasonable range, which I think is tens and better, and ace king and ace queen. All right, so ace king, ace queen with an ace on board. You have 12 combos of each hand, 24 combos plus you have tens through kings, 6 combos each for 24. So you'll fold out half his range, and plus, but then he has ace ace sometimes too. So you're gonna fold out. And forgive me if my math's wrong. I'm just doing it off the top of my head, but I think you're gonna fold out half his range. The problem is, when he shoves and you put half your stack in, I mean, I don't know. I think if you have ace, if you have a weaker ace, then you're gonna be in trouble. Or something you're gonna price yourself in. I mean, I don't know. Thinking about this guy's ranges requires a little deeper analysis, and I would need to get Poker Stove out and look at some numbers. But off the top of my head, I don't think I like it. And I especially don't like it if you're planning on betting that flop into 2 people, like not just this guy, but then this guy cold called. So you have to bet into 2 people. I mean, are you really going to get your fold that you're going to get 2 folds in a 3-bet pot that often? I think that's just way too aggressive. And I think it's just kind of spewy, especially like assuming he had no hand, which he didn't. Like, he had nothing he could call there. So he's basically he's bluffing. So I just think it's really, really weak betting that into 2 different people. I mean, someone's going to have something they want to continue with very, very often. All right, forgive me if that analysis was not very good or not very clear. To best look at that, we'd have to get Poker Stove out and run some numbers, but intuitively, I don't think his value on that bluff was there into 2 cold callers. All right, so this guy has called my bet. I have absolutely no reason to think I don't have the best hand, so I'm just going to keep firing for value. I'm not going to blast full pot at it again. Actually, this might even. Let's see what happens here. Okay, this I think is a fold. I'm only beating. There are no draws that you could have hit. I beat ace 2, ace 3, ace 5, ace 6, and that is it. I'm gonna fold. I'm not crazy about it, but I'm gonna fold. I just don't. I don't think I beat enough of his range. Okay, this I'm gonna 4-bet. That looks about right. And we let the timer go down a little bit, which is always good. You 4-bet right away, like I said, it's a little too convincing. I mean, if you're planning on 4-betting bluff him, then do it. I like to do it right away, and like you love your hand and you're ready to go with it immediately. But you know, conversely, I try to keep I try to be aware of my timing tells, and I try to keep it kind of right in the middle. Timing-wise for both my bluffs and my hands. But with no history, I prefer to kind of let it go down a little bit. Like, I am trying to think of the best way to play the hand. And I'm not, like, totally sure how I'm faring against his range. So I think letting it go down a little bit and then 4-betting with kings is the best play. This is ace 10 suited, I would call. I would probably call ace jack. Ace 9... The problem with ace 9 is I'm not flipping against 10s or 9s, so I'm just going to fold. That's just not a call against this guy with a 16. I didn't see if that guy showed his ace king. I don't know if he showed. Excuse me. I don't know if he showed that ace hand. No, he didn't. Okay. Back to the hand with the ace eight. I really have no reason to think that guy was bluffing at all. And I really, we know that guy is perfectly capable of limping huge hands, and you know, I beat just so few hands in his range that I think that was a pretty easy fold. I'm not. I don't even think that was a big laydown. You know, ace jack would have been like a much bigger laydown, but again, okay. I might actually do the same thing with this hand. This guy just folds so often. He folds just so often. I'm just going to jack it up and just try to take it down. Okay, this is interesting. I wonder if Don Camillo will raise if... I'm just going to... I don't know if he'll 4-bet. I'm just going to call. Just because this guy's a little min 3-bet. A weak player, when he min 3-bets, is so often a huge hand. And I just think I certainly have implied odds against this guy. Only having to call off $20. You know, I think that's pretty standard. Missed my set, so I'm just going to give up. I'm putting him on a big hand, and I'm going to stick with that read. I do find it interesting that this guy folded pre-flop, getting 6-1 on a call. You know, like, what hand does he open that he folds getting 6-1 on the button with? I mean, I can't even imagine. I wouldn't fold anything. But, you know, that's interesting. Okay, this guy's all in again. I assume everybody's going to fold. Oh, so we got this guy's new. 36-10. That's a solid addition. So we have a pretty good table here. The short stack is on our right, which is always welcome. And he's in push or fold mode, which makes things easy. Now I'm going to, if this guy limps, I'm just going to raise this guy. I'm going to raise this guy's blind. He's the kind of guy that I am going to, I just want to punish him. You know, he's definitely the kind of guy who's just trying, I think in my opinion, it's just way too aggressive. And all you have to do is kind of get him riled up a little bit with, you know, some blind steals and maybe a 4-bet. And then after that, it's just like open season. He's just going to... Then you just tighten up and wait for a hand because he's just going to start going crazy. And that's always nice. And it's the kind of thing that will ensure me action on, like, you know, my big pairs and like ace king and stuff like that. All right, so I have flopped the nut flush draw. No reason to... And this is fine to see bet. If I get check raise, I'll be able to call him, especially since we're deep. So this is a pretty standard, incredibly standard c-bet. Okay, and he does check raise me, which is perfectly fine. Now we're just going to think for a minute. We're going to call him. Okay, this is an interesting situation. It's a good board for him to check raise. The ace high board, as I discussed earlier, is a good board for him to check raise. I don't see this guy check raising me 2 times in a row. Downside of this hand is the problem is if I check here, I give up on the hand, which I don't want to do. We're a big pot, and I have a ton of leverage considering the deep stacks and my position. So I like firing right at him. If he can count, I don't think he can count on me betting this turn with nothing. he check raises me on the flop. That play is designed to take the pot right there. If he check raises me again, then, I mean, that's just not a play you're going to see that often. And he has no reason to think that I'm going to bet again after he check raises me once. Like, that just doesn't happen very often, especially with no history. So when he checks the turn, I just think I take that down so often, mainly because it's such a bluffable board, given my button range, that I see no reason. I really think that bet takes that down a lot. And like sometimes you'll see guys do that with even like Jack 10 there or a straight draw, and then when the turn's a total brick, what can they do when you're deep money and I fire out a bet like that? So between the stack size of my position, and that's what's wonderful about being deep stacked, it's I can apply that kind of pressure with position, whereas I can't when we're short. If we had short stacks there, that turn bet would have committed me, and whereas I'm not committed to that hand at that point. And the problem with checking back that turn is that then it just lets him fire the river at me, and when I miss my flush, there's nothing. I have to bluff raise the river, which is going to be a much more expensive play, and it's going to be a lot harder to sell. So that is. I have no idea what to do here. I'm gonna raise him. I'm gonna raise him and call. So, but if I checked back that turn with that flush draw hand, then it just gives him like an open pass to take the pot away from me on the river when I miss, and I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss that river 80% of the time, approximately 80% of the time, and that is not what I want. I want to win the hand. There's a lot of money out there, and I think that turn bet is very, very profitable. The downside is when he does check raise me again, I'm gonna throw the hand away. But I just think that happens so rarely that I think that it was a really great time to fire at him. Okay. So 06 Deluxe has limped again. Yeah, when I have position, I see that guy limp. Like, what's interesting is I've raised him. I guess it was only the one hand I raised him when he limped. I was in the blinds, and that didn't work out because he had queens. But I think in general, I'm gonna make it 20 again. This guy just folds. Like, he hasn't folded, I think, twice. So when I take down, I'm risking 20 to win 10. I think I'll do it a lot. I think this is definitely profitable. So what is that? Everyone has to fold 2/3 of the time? Yeah. And a $20 raise, I think, is going to scare the blinds enough that they're going to back off. And I also think that this guy's definitely folding more than a third for sure. So I think that raise shows an immediate profit. Yeah, we haven't had nearly as many 4-betting situations as I kind of hoped for when I started this video, but I think we had a couple. The ones we did get, I think, were really good. I think the one where I shoved over the guy's 4-bet, I think that was a pretty common spot, and that was something I didn't talk about in my last video, was how to combat light 4-betters. I didn't really get into that, so hopefully that the discussion in this video really will supplement that well. I really hope that was helpful, and we had the one with the kings where I 4-bet and he just folded. But I really think that we had a couple decent situations, but hopefully it was helpful nonetheless. It's going to continue to be a theme in my videos going forward. So if this one left you wanting in the 4-betting department, I will it's something I'm always going to be trying to talk about in the future. So, you know, don't get too upset. Okay, so this is. I'm trying to think of the worst hand. The worst ace I would raise this guy with. Probably ace 9 suited. I think we just limp ace 7 suited. And we spike it. Something like, I don't like to blast out full pot. I think it just looks like we have it. So I kind of like to bet a little bit less in a spot like this. I want him to come along with his pairs and, his 8-8 hand and what have you. Okay, I really have no reason to think I don't have the best hand. So I'm going to, I do want to control the size of this pot, and I want to get action from weaker hands. So I'm just going to bet like 2/3. Okay. Trying to think what the best play is now. If I fire again, I wonder. It's went to showdown as 27, so pretty reasonable. I don't take many draws. I'm just gonna check it. At this point, I'm a little worried about being outkicked. But also, if he thinks I'm bluffing, it gives him one chance to bluff at me. Okay, he had ace 5, so he would have paid me off there. But when he calls 2 streets, I was a little concerned about, with the ace 2 and with the 4 and the 2 out there. There's only the ace 3 and the ace 4 and the ace 5 and the ace 6 that I beat, and we know he'll limp all the other ones. So I was getting a little concerned about being outkicked. Although that one's close. That was close. I think also when you take into account all the pocket pairs and hands like 9-10 that he could have had there, I think when you give them a chance to bluff at it, then I think a check is close to the best play. It's really close. Long run, I don't think it'll make a difference, but 2 streets value isn't bad either, considering it was a limp pot and we were out of position. Okay. All right. Really dry board, and look at this guy's check raise. Check raise is 4, decent amount. We do have a good sample, so we can give that number some credibility. His cold call is low. I'm gonna check it. I think that with a low cold call number, I think that his range is gonna be weighted a lot toward pairs, and pairs are not going anywhere on this board. I am going to call this one though, since we hit our 8 and we had some showdown value. Had the 8 not come, I would have just probably folded. I think this guy is a thinking player, and I don't think he's ready to just. I don't think he's just gonna check fold all that often on a board like this against my button range. He does like to check raise, and I think that on a low board, the pocket pairs are going to. I don't think they're going anywhere. So here's a spot where I have showdown value. He's not going to fold a 9. And the ace is a good card just because it's going to get me a cheap showdown. He's not going to fire. So I'm just going to check it down. I just don't think he's going to fold a whole lot. See, and he had 7-7, pretty much exactly what I put him on. And there's no way he was going to fold that flop. So, and I just don't think there's a lot of value in that river bet. The ace is definitely going to hit our hand sometimes there. And I shouldn't see him, he'll pay off sometimes, but, and I think the worst hand he would have called with would have been like 9 something, but just because the ace, he knows, will be a good bluff card for me. So while he something like 9-10 or something like that he may have called with, I don't think it was going anywhere, but a hand like 7-7 probably would have folded. So I didn't see a whole lot of, there's not a whole lot of value there. We're not getting looked up by worse, so. Okay, let's see here. I'd love to get another big hand before the video's over. Okay, so this guy has 06 has limped again, and it gets folded to us again. These guys should be raising this guy more. They're probably playing a lot of tables too, so they're not paying as close attention as I am. But I'm gonna do the exact same thing I've been doing, and you know, someone's going to have to 3-bet me to get me to stop doing this. This guy's called. Okay. When he calls, I'm putting him on a decent ace or a pair. And I wonder if he will continue. And he's firing into me. Okay. I'm just going to fold here. I think he's probably just semi-bluffing. He flies an overpair, something like 9s and better. Or he is semi-bluffing probably a ace or king of hearts. Either way, he's not going to fold at pretty much any point in this hand. So I just have to fold. But so that was one of the times that play didn't work out. But long run, I think that's a huge winner. And, you know, I probably could have taken an orbit off from stealing that guy's limp. But, you know, that's okay too. When you have a play that is systematically going to make you money, like that one, often it's a good idea to, you know, not make it incredibly obvious what you're doing, because that will often kind of slam the doors on your gold mine a little faster than they would have been closed otherwise. So it's good not to make it just incredibly obvious what you're doing, because people are really, really good at noticing patterns, and that is something that they're going to catch on to pretty quick. So if you give him some folds occasionally, that's going to probably just, you know, make your profit train, you know, last just a little bit longer. So okay, so Cracker Jacks has opened it up. Tito's. I want to look at that guy. That guy is playing. Cheetos Tacos. This guy's playing. He's only playing 4 tables, so this guy's paying a little better attention than our other buddies were. But the reason I was curious is because I would have expected him to start raising that guy's limps, 06's limps, more than he has been. But you know, maybe he just had. Maybe he hasn't. I don't know. I don't know why he's not doing it. Had he been on 10 tables, it would be more reasonable. Okay. So TD Iris over here has min 3-bet for the second time that we have seen. And Don Camillo. It's interesting that Don Camillo has called him in 3-bet out of position, but he didn't call it on the button. I don't really know why that would be the case, but maybe he misclicked the first time. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. So the no gray has shown up over here. He's a short stacker with an Iron Man medal, so this guy's clearly a diligent short stacker. This ought to be okay. I was going to say, you can't possibly 3-bet this guy if you're not planning on calling. Okay, he doubled up. Hopefully he'll leave now. I really hate having these guys on your left, just because when they do something, when they shove, it can, like, kill your plan for the whole rest of the hand, you know? You can make some awesome setup. You can have a great hand where you know the blinds are going to squeeze or play back at you, and then this guy kind of gets in the middle and shoves and ruins the whole thing, and that's especially irritating. I'm not going to force the action with a 7 out of position. I'm expecting to get action from either Apobates or 06. So, you know, that's not a hand I want a whole lot of action with. We'll go one more orbit on each of these tables and then call it a video. And I'll pause it and we'll open up Poker Tracker. Okay, 9-3. This is not. Hands on my blinds today have not been made him easy to play. There's been no marginal spots. It's just kind of trashy. At least I get walked. That's cool. Yeah, and they've all been hands I won't even raise the big blind with. And likewise, we're going to fold to this guy's min raise. Okay, this is a hand I will definitely be opening. Not anymore, though. And again, this guy we know is kind of spazzy, and he likes to 3-bet and all that. And this is just that's King 3 offsuit is just kind of disastrous to play against a guy like this out of position. There's just absolutely no reason to play it. I'm going to open this up. Okay, this guy just calls. This is a play I'll make sometimes. Excuse me, he raises. I'm gonna make like a small 3-bet, and the point of this 3-bet is because we have two guys right here who love to squeeze, and I want to be able to play the hand against this guy in position. Sorry about that. I want to be able to play this hand in position against this guy, but I don't want to, make a huge 3-bet and put a lot of money with Jack 10 off. But I also don't want to be pushed off my. I don't want to put money in and then fold when one of these guys squeezes either. But I really think I really think this is a profitable play. I think it's profitable to play this hand in position against this guy, who is opening a decent amount of hands, 14 or 15%. But he's really passive post flop. The problem now, I have to fold now. I mean, he's let into me. I think he's got like king queen or something. But I really think on average, this is a spot I want to be in. My hand's like not amazing, but it is a hand I want to play in position against a weak player. And I think a small 3-bet will get rid of the blinds and will allow me to play that hand. Okay. Here I am going to check fold. Sometimes I really don't like 3-betting this hand. I'll do it sometimes. This is a hand kind of in between hand I like to just kind of call with. Now he's checked though. I'm going to bet. Remember, this guy's only on 4 tables, so he is paying attention. I just really wonder what he checks back here. I think when he checks back on a flop like this, he's just kind of giving up. So I just kind of fired at him. And, okay. We're going to call this a session on the left here. And we'll play a couple more hands on the right, and we'll go to Poker Tracker. Mainly, I just wanted to play the button, the cutoff, and the hijack. So this guy limped. That's okay. Nice. And I can tell you right now, 06 Deluxe is sick of me. It says he folded. Oh no, that was the screen hasn't caught up. This guy has got to be getting sick of me. I've been raising him. I've just been punishing his limps, and sadly, I think he's probably gotten the best of me on average. We kind of won that one pot, but he showed up with hands in those other two, so that was certainly unfortunate, but certainly not. It happens. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and get Poker Tracker up here. Okay, so here's our Poker Tracker numbers. Very good session. Want to buy in. That's always a great result. And let's see here. 22. I played a 22-18. That's actually really, really close to my standard game. Sometimes I'm more like a 20 or 21. But within 200 hands, the cards will certainly change things around. Let's see here. One thing I wanted to comment on. Actually, we can't really talk about the blind numbers because we have so few hands. But nonetheless, it was a good session, and I don't think we had any hands that I didn't feel like I got to discuss at the length I wanted to, so I'm not going to pull up any. But if there are any that you guys wanted to see, definitely, or you want to see discussed in more detail, let me know and write a post about it, and we'll talk about it. But that's the end of my video, and I hope these were really helpful for you guys. And just shoot me questions, feedback, whatever, and hope it was helpful. And I'll talk to you guys later.